Hello! Over the next 6 minutes, I'm going to give you an overview of graphic novels, some of the terminology to be aware of, and a number of resources which will help you create the best possible collection of graphic novels to your library patrons. What is a graphic novel? That's an excellent question, and you'll likely get a different answer depending on who you ask. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, a graphic novel is a full-length, especially science fiction or fantasy, story published as a book in comic strip format. The OED provides a serviceable definition of a graphic novel, one that will appeal to both retailers of comics and librarians, the two conflicting camps on how to define a graphic novel. The conflict. From a retailer's perspective, there is a distinction between graphic novels and trade paperbacks, also called trades for short. A graphic novel is a publication that has a clear beginning and end, released in the same volume. An example of this is Alison Bechdel's Fun Home and Gillian and Mariko Tamaki's This One Summer. Both of these publications were released as a single publication, and there are no supplementary texts to either of these books. Conversely, a trade is a collection of comics from a sequential story that has no definable end. Most comics series are written with no established end in mind. Examples of trades are Sex Criminals Volume 2 and Hawkeye Volume 1, My Life as a Weapon. This indistinct end is what makes trades different from graphic novels. The former is written with the intent of furthering the story in sequential volumes. The latter contains an affirmative end. This is the distinction that exists within the comics industry. Comic store employees, critics, and creators will often draw attention to this difference. Although the persistent ambiguity of the term graphic novel usually reduces the impact of this difference. Libraries use terminology differently than the comic book industry in that all trades and graphic novels are considered graphic novels. I argue that the distinction is important since it reflects a stylistic difference which exists in the comic book world. Trades are associated with mainstream titles. Graphic novels tend to be independent publications. The distinction between mainstream and independent trades in graphic novels is important because these categories represent different readerships. Not that comic book readers can and do read a wide range of materials. Comic book fans have as broad or as narrow taste as any other readership. However, a comic reader accustomed to reading comic series might struggle with the graphic novel format since they are used to having more content in the comics they read. Someone who reads a lot of graphic novels might do so because they are not a fan of the superhero genre, a difference between indie/alternative and mainstream comics. Understanding the difference between trades and graphic novels is important when negotiating with comic book retailers and longtime comic book fans. Words shape our understanding, and the conflation of graphic novels and trades has led to confusion between patrons and librarians and between customers and retailers. Libraries have and will continue to call trades graphic novels, but as long as you understand the difference, you should be okay. How you should select graphic novels. There are a number of excellent resources available to help you stay on top of graphic novels. A valuable asset will always be maintaining a good relationship with your local comic book store. The staff of a comic book store will be able to tell you what sells well, the demographic buying it, and the reasons why a particular graphic novel is popular. Many comic book stores are also ready and willing to collaborate with programming, so keep them in mind for PA days and school breaks. Conversely, participate in Free Comic Book Day. This is a comics event centered around reading and offers a natural partnership between comic retailers and libraries. Other resources are the Previews catalog from Diamond Distributors, a monthly publication which shows all the upcoming releases. Previews breaks content down by publisher and often showcases upcoming trades, graphic novels, and special collections. Other resources are the Beguiling Library Service Guide, a service provided by award-winning Toronto-based comic store, The Beguiling, the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund podcast, available through their website, and any of the lists for comic-specific awards, such as the Kodansha, Eisner, and Ignatz, just to name a few. Finally,
created using Powtoon.